Good morning. Today is July 12th. It's Sunday, and I just got back from church. So basically, I have a lot to say, but I'm probably not going to get to all of it today. First of all, I want to recommend this book. It's called Come and Follow. It's by F. Washington Jarvis. Good book. He really is straightforward in weighing like the pros and cons, what's questionable and so on. Um, it's my take on it that you can be a skeptic, and the more you look into this story, the more factually valid it actually appears to be. So I made this graph today, and this is kind of continuing with my theme of textual criticism, which basically means is the story written as a true story, or is it written as a made up story? Just looking at some of like the details of the story and things like that. So here I'm gonna give this story. This may not be orthodox or whatever. This is not strict doctrine, of course, but I'm gonna even and Jarvis here in this book, he kind of goes by the same line of thinking. You can even give the story of the gospel like a margin of symbolism, that they may have just written it in accordance with the fulfilling the prophecies of the Old Testament in certain instances and whatnot. So we'll give a margin of symbolism, and yet still, my central assertion here is that the core facts of the gospel are factually valid and objective fact. So, and one of the reasons and one of the ways you can kind of look and tell something of that is I made these graphs here. So, a made-up story, you wouldn't have the thing is, the bottom line is like the gospel is so confident in its statements and so confident that this is what happened, and part of that confidence is drawn from the fact that there are so many witnesses, and my graph here is a graph of what would be true if the story were told as a true story. So the factual validity actually goes up with the number of witnesses. And so basically, and this is a corresponding graph, basically what I'm trying to say with this graph is that the more important certain parts of the story are, certain parts of the gospel are, the more important they are to the faith, the more public it was. So you have like Jesus, appearing to hundreds of people after he was resurrected. You have him doing all these miracles in front of loads of people. And so what I'm basically trying to say is that like there are like little supernatural instances of things happening throughout. Some of them may not be that important, but interestingly enough, the stuff that really is important actually corresponds to like a ton of people being there, witnessing it. So that's basically what I want to say with that. And then I had this one verse, for reference, Matthew 26:13, where he was basically saying, this woman will be remembered forever wherever this gospel is preached. There's just a certain confidence in the gospel that basically says, I dare you to disprove what this is saying. And because if you take away like one little part of the story of the gospel, basically the whole thing crumbles, because you have all these miracles sprinkled in, peppered in, and all these teachings of Jesus peppered in. It's like a mosaic. You take away one little thing, and that includes the supernatural things happening, miracles. You take away one little bit of that, and the whole story basically just implodes on itself. It can be just totally tossed out as just false. So that's what I basically just want to propose to you in this video. So, okay, let's look at Matthew chapter 4. So again, my general takeaway thus far in Matthew, the first couple of chapters, is that like, the Immaculate Conception, who knew about that? Mary and Joseph. if Joseph down the line admitted like, hey, I wasn't the one who helped Mary conceive that baby, you think he would just be forthcoming with that information? Probably not, unless he was like totally convinced that it was like some kind of divine intervention. So I mean, you just have to put yourself in the shoes of who has the information. Would they be forthcoming in telling it? Why? And how it's compiled. So and so again, but you could even put in, like Jarvis was saying in the book, like maybe the three wise men were there just as like a symbolism. Was that a factual story that happened? Did the three wise men actually come? Well, honestly, it's kind of irrelevant because it's not of like central importance to the faith. But what I'm trying to say is that the core facts of the faith, the core assertions of the faith, are the things that basically could have been most easily disproven were they untrue. Okay, so Matthew chapter 4. Jesus had just been baptized, of course. Again, the voice from heaven, was that a fact? It really doesn't matter, because it really just says he heard it anyway. And it came down like a dove, the Holy Spirit. These are things that they really can be put on a margin. They're not central to the faith, but those things that are central to the faith are the hardest to disprove, is all I'm saying there. But okay, so Matthew chapter 4, Jesus was tempted by the devil, tempted 3 times by the devil. I'm not going to go into the details, but I really recommend that you read it. And so he fasted 40 days. He fulfilled another prophecy there from Isaiah. Isaiah had a lot of prophecies. And then so right after that, Jesus began to preach, change your hearts and lives because the kingdom of heaven is near. And he began to recruit followers. Simon, Andrew, Jesus said, come follow me and I will make you fish for people. So now it's saying Jesus went everywhere in Galilee, teaching in the synagogues. There's this confidence, this boldness of like people knew about him everywhere. And there's like this conspicuous silence in history that doesn't disprove it. Where in history, where in ancient manuscripts and whatnot does it say, oh no, that didn't happen at all? Like you won't find like a canon of manuscripts or anything like that says, hey, I was there, this is totally made up. You won't find it because it's true. Okay, it says Jesus healed all these people. So all these things, these miraculous things that he's doing, were like in the midst of large crowds. And we'll pick up the next chapter next Sunday. Have a great week. God bless you. Thank you.